bitching about this today being a bust. Uh-oh.
This is a trip ender. Yeah, there's 4 nights left maximum. So. Yep. All right, we'll see you up there, out there, down there. All right, guys.
$3.
One day,
same tree.
Same tree.
Oh my God, I'm so
Woo!
Holy shit! Get a shot of these.
2 farms this year. Number 1 is done.
Did you say bye, Kevin?
I did. I already did. Bye, Kevin.
Bye, Kevin.
Bye, Kevin. Bye, Kevin.
Smoked it, buddy. Look at that. You destroyed it.
Joey takes
The shop is closing up.
Make sure he takes all his right antlers. All right, guys. Deer Shot Podcast, episode 34. This is a big one. This is the Brotherhood of Bears. We got Isaac in studio. We got myself. We got Uncle Jason McClavick in studio. This podcast actually is one that we talked about before we even had the podcast equipment. We wanted to do this podcast for a very long time. It was planned from the very beginning. This is our 16-day Montana spring bear hunting trip. Complete breakdown, as well as the previous year's breakdown as well, since we didn't have the podcast equipment then. This spring bear hunting Montana thing it's a big deal for us. It's one of the big things that Siman Brothers Outdoors has done over the years. A lot of planning goes into it. It's a lot of fun. It was my first Western backcountry hunt. We're really excited. We got a lot of things to talk about. Make sure if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, watching on YouTube, you leave a comment, subscribe, hit the little stars, leave a review. I don't care if the review is bad. Leave us a review either way. Helps us out. We'd love to hear from the audience.
I'll give you a reason to leave a bad review.
You saved the bear film, by the way. So this podcast goes in correlation with our Backcountry Bears, or our Brotherhood of Bears, and our Backcountry Bears film.
By the way, haven't been here forever, so cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah. Not since you killed your booner.
Yeah.
Your unimpressive booner, which I think you said you got officially scored or had scored.
I did not, because I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But my taxidermist and I are friends, and he did have it scored, and I think it was one officially grossed 169 and 4/8.
What did we get?
171. I think.
Yeah, 171. So we were close.
Yeah, we got a 170 point something.
Yeah,
so
it was
we were within an
real
inch.
close.
Within an inch.
And then that's the drying.
So with
right?
some shrinkage, we're
Yeah.
right where we need.
Because that was 60 days, I think,
Yeah.
and that's why he had them come in.
Okay.
So
We're talking about here we are
shout
talking
out,
about deer.
Yeah, I know. Shout out to High Point Taxidermy, Zoran. He's the man and a good friend. So.
Yeah. But anyways, shifting back to bears. So 2 videos on our channel. Backcountry Bears, Isaac and Jay, 2022. They went to Montana, killed it. Literally, Isaac killed his bear. Jay missed a bear. They saw a dozen bears all day, every day. It inspired what we did here today. A year went by. They did some more scouting. We made a big production out of going again in 2023.
We had huge expectations.
And then we
so many high hopes.
We planned the trip. We planned the trip for months and months. Made sure everything was dialed. Everything was perfect. E-scouting.
And as Caleb would say, the T's were dotted and the I's were crossed.
Yes. we made Caleb spend thousands of dollars on equipment. He borrowed some equipment from other people.
And no regrets. And if you're listening to this podcast, the film is out on YouTube. Look for Brotherhood of Bears, Siman Brothers Outdoors. You get the whole rundown. You can watch our entire situation unfold in Montana, and then you can scroll all the way to the end, and Jay kills his bear, and we all have a party, and it's great. But we're here to talk about the whole process of bear hunting, the bear films, everything that's gone into it over the last 2 years. And at this point, we have Jay scheduled to go out again this fall, and we're going to make him take a camera with him. He's doing it kind of unique, and it's going to be fun, but it'll be 3 years now of bears that we'll have on Siman Brothers Outdoors. So Jay's going to keep it going this fall.
And so
this spring, I should say. We're not joining him, but he's going to go out there and do it again this spring.
So people that aren't familiar, this style of bear hunting is a lot different than they do out here on the East Coast and up north in Canada.
Yeah, we've been doing the East Coast bear hunting. I shouldn't say
West
even East
Virginia,
Coast. We've been
Pennsylvania.
doing the Midwest bear hunting, West Virginia, PA, couple years, and it's very mixed. It's different. Where we hunt in West Virginia, it's no baiting, no dogs. We're hunting them like deer, unsuccessfully, but we do see some bears, and there's bears. You know, on the East Coast here in the United States,
Northeast.
Baiting is huge. People have a 100% success rate on opportunities for bears at a lot of these outfitters. That's something. Actually, some of our guys in our group have done it. You know, the older gores have done it, and they enjoy it, and we will do it with them eventually.
It does sound
probably.
like a fun time. Completely different hunt.
Right, but this Montana bear hunting and this backcountry bear hunting, Montana, Idaho, Utah, some other states in there, way different.
Yeah,
and
it's all spot and stalk. It's all in big mountains.
Glassing.
It's all chasing snow melt and finding these bears when they come out of hibernation or when they come out of their winter snooze. Some of them don't exactly hibernate, but
and I very much, you know, this last year, 2023 was my first year doing it, and I very much enjoyed it. I think I actually enjoyed it more than you guys did, because both of you guys came out of it with a different feeling.
Anytime you're popping your cherry, I mean, it's going to be.
Yeah, and to me, it was my first time, so I loved it. And I want to do it again. I want to do it every year. I would love to have all our friends get together for that hunt every year and do it for 10 days.
would be
but
awesome.
it wasn't not only your first bear hunt, but it was your first legitimate Western hunt, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, it's kind of.
First big travel hunt.
Yeah, I mean,
besides going to these other Midwest states that we've hunted.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal.
And I loved it. And I think it's a perfect, you know, bear hunting like that. It's different than elk. It's different than mule deer. It's different than moose. I think you could do, and, you know, we kind of set the example of what we could do. You can do this with your friends and just have fun with it. If everyone goes, and not even everyone has to have a tag, but you can go out there. Some years you're going to see lots of bears. Some years you're not. But you can go out there and just throw up camps in the backcountry, hunt, film each other. You can do a little bit of shed hunting. You can do a little bit of turkey hunting. There's lots of things you can do with it.
It was three assholes leaving from Ohio to go to, as everybody knows, we were in Montana in this trip. No big secret. To go to Montana, spend $300 on a tag, and we're hunting. That's all it was.
Yeah.
You know, it is kind of one of those casual hunts. In other words, you can make it as hard as you want it, and still maybe see some bears.
Yeah.
Elk hunting ain't like that. It's going to be hard. You know what I mean? Like, you're not.
We made this hunt hard, for the record.
Yes.
We did make this hunt hard.
Yeah, because
but it doesn't necessarily have to be.
No, it doesn't. I think there's a lot of opportunity for truck camping and just going down a drivable forest road and really just kind of glassing from your truck. You don't have to get too far away from the truck. We chose to because that's what we enjoy doing. But
I loved it.
Yeah.
And I want to start this podcast because there's a lot we can cover, and so far we've already hit a lot of points real quick. To back up, let's start this podcast with what started you and Isaac in 2022, and actually it was probably 2021. What made you guys decide, you know what, in 2022 spring, May, we're going to go out and bear hunt in Montana? What started that with you two? Because you guys started it.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Didn't I just text you one day and go, would you ever go spring bear hunting?
Yeah.
And you're like,
and I think at this same time, so not to name drop any of the big YouTubers or anything, but this is kind of when Gritty was getting his big start showing bear hunting films. And a lot of the other channels were starting to show bear hunting films. It was starting to become kind of like a cool thing to go try. And we were looking for more opportunities to get out west.
That's the key.
We were at the point in our life where we're like, we're going to go out west as much as we can. We got all this gear. We got all this time off. We got all this, we're in the perfect opportunity in our life to do this. So we're like, let's go do it.
100%. And I think it was almost like mind bullets. You were thinking it and I was thinking it. And I thought I sent you a text going, would you ever be interested in doing that? And you're like, yeah. So then the plan began.
And this was immediately following our trip falling through in Montana. So we had a rifle season hunt planned. It fell through for good reason. Jay was studying for a promotional test, which he ended up getting, which was good. But I went to Montana by myself.
I passed up a promotional test.
Caleb did pass
in order to go on this bear hunt, and so far it's worked out because they've hired one guy off. So we're okay.
There you go.
We're okay still. But continue.
Yeah. So we were kind of looking for a hunt to plan together because our last one fell through, and this just happened to be perfect. There's nothing we were doing in the spring.
Yeah.
And it was perfect timing.
And we really had no idea what we were getting into.
No idea. So like I said, we watched some YouTube videos and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, you guys came up, so I have it in my notes here. That first year, it was fall of 2021, preparing for the spring of 22. You guys came up with a system. You watched your YouTube videos, you did your reading, you read your articles. You guys came up with a system to find areas to hunt on public land. So and we won't dive into too much of that.
No, right? we don't need to, but like I think it was a work in progress. You know, we started seeing commonalities of where we were seeing bear, and it almost just jumped right out at us. Like we're like, oh, well, this checks this box, this checks this box. And we started applying that to our e-scouting, and every single place we went to that fit all those criteria, we saw bears.
Yeah, first year. So the Backcountry Bears, look it up on YouTube, Siman Brothers Outdoors, Backcountry Bears, their first year. You guys went out to Montana, and Isaac killed a bear within 45 minutes?
Yeah, it was first day, first morning.
Literally saw it as we were getting out of the truck the first day.
Their first year, Isaac killed a bear right off the rip. They got done with that. And then that whole entire, you guys, how many days were you out there?
Probably like 9 days.
You guys saw bears every day, right?
Every day we were on the mountain hunt.
Yes.
So if we weren't
every day we were actively glassing.
And you guys were bouncing spots.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And still seeing bears.
Yeah, we probably hit 5 different spots.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And you saw bears everywhere you went.
Every spot we hunted, we saw bears.
Yep.
I remember I was here in Ohio, I was probably turkey hunting. And
I would assume.
we were getting the Garmin in reach while you were on the mountains. Then you guys would bomb down, and we get, your guys like, oh, I saw 2 bears today, bear here, bear there. Saw this giant bear. Jay couldn't get a shot. Did AJ missed a bear? Bear everywhere. Like we were, our group sitting back here at home, like, dude, these guys are just killing it. And then you brought the footage back, and it took you a little bit to edit it out, and we actually put that video out in deer season
in November.
Right? Yeah, we put that video out on deer season right after our best video hit, our all-time greatest video, the deer camp video. The next week we're like, all right, let's slam this bear video, and it did okay. Just kind of cruised along until spring, and then it shot up in views, and a lot of people watched it, and that video was awesome. You guys didn't go out there with the intent of making a great cinematic masterpiece.
No, I was walking around with
phone scopes and GoPros.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Yeah, simple cameras. You had $200 worth of cameras.
Yep,
and you guys did a great job. So you laid the groundwork for what we did this last year.
Yeah, and it made us hungry going back for that trip because we ran out of time for that trip. I remember we had a hard date to get back. We had to get back by, was it Memorial Day probably?
Ish, yeah.
Yeah, we had to be back by Memorial Day because of work and stuff. And it was like a whole bunch of unfinished business from that trip. So we were hungry to get out there again.
Because I ended up missing, which is portrayed really well in the film, I thought.
Yeah, I thought we did okay.
Yeah.
You did actually, so you did a great job editing it for that first film. Instead of showing setup, bear seeing, shooting, you started with Jay's interview about how you tube this and you'd be a hypocrite if not, and then you showed the bear, and then you showed the miss. We've watched that video back in slow motion on my computer, my supercomputer, a couple times. I'm not convinced that you hit the leg on your shot.
So we went over that.
We've zoomed it. And big screen and
so there is. I did too, and
it's hard to say.
Well, so the bear was acting odd before I even took the shot.
Yeah.
So
perched up on a rock.
It was perched up on a rock, kind of bent over. We watched him. I mean, it was probably 10, 15 minutes before I took the shot.
Yeah, because we weren't sure if we were going to shoot.
Right. Because
for whatever reason.
We weren't sure if we could get there.
Looking back, it's comical. Based on 2023, we would have died for that.
Yeah, sure.
But your guys' year in 2022 was amazing.
Yeah, so ended up watching the video over and over and over again, and I'm 100% sure that bear's leg was injured before I took the shot.
He's sitting there hunched up,
and he's
licking at it.
Yes, he's got like a compound fracture.
And the thing is, you hit your bullet. So we watched it back in slow motion on my big screen computer. We had to slow down where the bullet's going like this. You hit real close,
right between his legs.
I mean,
I think I hit between his legs.
Yeah, you hit right near the wound.
I mean, I'm not. We saw the video. Like I think it's in the new bear video where I hit a sticker at 500 and some yards. Big.
Yeah,
so
shooting's not the problem.
Shooting's not the problem.
Even I was hitting the sticker,
and I know what I did wrong. Almost the second it happened because I forgot. Like I had bear fever.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't hold over.
You didn't hold over for the doe.
And at that yardage, I did the math.
It was like 12 inches or something.
Yes.
Or 16,
it was 16 inches, yeah.
Whatever the inches drop is exactly where that bullet hit.
Yes.
Because it was like a 360-yard shot.
Yeah.
A little bit downhill.
Yep.
So he would have hammered it perfect whether he dialed or held, and he simply just held crosshairs directly.
Yes.
You know, the big thing I took out of it as an outside bystander is that wasn't even the real shame. The real shame was that big boar. The real shame was that big boar.
The one
for 5 minutes
sauntering around
for 5 minutes.
log.
You watch this bear. It's as big as the bear from the end of The Fox and the Hound. That giant black monster bear.
So we didn't talk about it in the video because I don't think there was ever like an interview me talking about it. But that bear was skylined for a long time. Yeah. So if you watch the video, big giant bear, it kind of comes walking up.
Giant bear. He's
skylined for several minutes at like 550, 600 yards. So a shot that's possible, but we did not want to take the skyline shot. And by the time he got off the skyline, he was either out of position or he was moving through some brush, and we just simply couldn't get a shot.
He never stopped.
And there was a hiking trail on that other side.
So
initially, did you see some people?
We did.
A couple hours later.
Yeah, a couple hours later.
Exactly.
Some people.
And you have to be, as much as you want to kill a bear because you did all this work, you can't be taking sloppy shots like that because that's how bad shit happens.
Yeah.
That's very commendable by you guys not to take probably not someone over there shot because that's bullshit.
It was skyline into a valley and way down in this valley, miles down there, his house is down there.
And then you guys saw people walking over there.
Then we saw people.
But that bear, I've watched that video over and over, and I didn't know any. Going into this process a couple years ago, I didn't know anything about bear size. All bears were the same. I watched that video after knowing everything I do about that bear that you didn't get a shot at. Holy shit.
Huge.
I mean, he's probably, 350, 400-pound boar in the spring?
Hard to say.
In the
probably,
spring?
but like also the one I missed was
also big.
No, right. But there's not as much pre-roll on that bear as the one that walks across the entire face of the earth without a shot being taken.
It was interesting because every single bear we saw up to that point stopped and fed.
Yeah.
This one was on a mission.
Both times we saw him.
Yeah.
Down the mountain,
he was running.
up the mountain.
Yeah. He was running, like you said. He wanted that bear decided he's an older male, and he decided I am going to cover ground and find something.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's like late May, so is the rut starting, and he's just a dominant male, and he's just getting his early start. I don't know bears that well, but I mean. It was, and you can hear in the film Isaac say, "Should I whistle? Should I give him, give him a hey? Like stop it." I told him no, just based on the whole, he's going to stop and feed at some point, and I don't want to jinx that.
And he never did.
So, it is what it is.
It's unfortunate.
But all of that stuff that happened, that was the precursor. That was 2022 Backcountry Bears. It was awesome. We put all these plans in place. We did it pretty early. I think once you guys got back, I pretty much said, I'm coming with you guys next year. Let's get geared up, and we put all this work together for the Brotherhood of Bears, which is the film that we're kind of talking about. Jay just watched it for the very first time. There's a couple edits I have to make. It will be out when you're listening to this podcast. It's already out on YouTube, so you can go watch it. We went hard into the cinematography. We had multiple cameras. Me and Isaac were both. I had my camcorder. He had his mirrorless, plus the GoPros. We put a lot of time into making it the film we wanted to make. And the truth was, at the end of the day, we missed the boat that spring on the same conditions that you guys encountered.
So we went the same time period. So just before Memorial Day, the same 2-week time period. Unfortunately, the weather just didn't agree with us. And talking to a lot of people in that area, like your buddy that's in the same area, the weather it missed for everybody.
Yeah.
It went from winter, 5 feet of snow on all these mountains, to boom, 80 degrees, meltdown in 2 days, and then it was over. It was summer.
Yep.
So the green up happened in a week's time period. Maybe if you were there for that week.
Weeks.
Yeah. So maybe if you were there for that week, you would have had good luck. But probably not, just with how quick it happened. Bears came out of hibernation. Boom, 3 days, it's green. They have food everywhere. They have no reason to be out on these slopes.
Yeah.
Before we get too far into all that, I just want your quick initial reaction of the current film. The film that you just watched.
I like it. And like we talked about, it's hard to like make something super appealing when there's the reason people are watching is for the end result.
Yeah.
You know, but as far as cinematography, seeing what we actually did, I thought it was fantastic, man. I really did. And, you know, just being there, it took me back.
Yeah.
And that's the most important
That
part.
was the hardest part of me when I was editing it. I'm watching this. I'm like, fuck, man, 2 months I can go back. Like, let's just go back.
Yeah.
Let's go
like
back.
it took me, it really took me back to where we were and how much joyful misery we had.
I mean, part of me keeps thinking, like, even though all the things that are happening with, you know, I'm having a kid and this and that and we're busy, like, if I could go out there for 3 days on moose paddle, just, you know what I mean? Like, I keep thinking, like, let's just.
And if it were a
I could do it
6-hour
for
drive,
3 days on moose paddle,
so I won't lie. 2 days ago, I was looking up gas prices. I was looking at I'm like, doing all the math. I'm like, this trip to go out there for 10 days would cost me about $2,500. I'm like,
I just want you to know, Isaac. I just want you
total.
to know, I'm not going to be working during the period of time that we went. So, like, if we get a super hairy, you know, stick up our ass, we could fucking go.
What if Jay, Jay calls us from the mountains? He's like, dude, there was bears crawling everywhere. I just shot a 400-pounder.
I know, guy.
Don't let my work know this, but I'll be on FMLA for child leave. We could fucking go. Let's just fucking go, like, right now. But
he could pick us up in a town in Montana.
We only need one. We've already simplified it. We need one gun, one tent. We'll just fucking make it work.
Yeah.
But,
Let's go.
All right. So,
anyways, moving on.
Anyways, to back up.
Shit, if we fly, it wouldn't cost nearly that much because you don't have to pay for the.
No.
The fuel's $1,200.
I know.
No matter how you split it, $1,200 a truck.
Yeah. I know.
Anyway,
way to buzzkill, bro.
Yeah, we're already talking ourselves. All right. So, spoiler alert: Jay's going back.
Yeah.
Jay is going back this spring. He's taking his girlfriend.
Yep.
They are going to do an Isaac hunt. Isaac takes his girlfriend out there every year, and they, you know, spend 5 days national park, 5 days hunting mule deer. Jay's kind of doing the same thing. They're going to do a little bit of turkey hunting. They're going to do some camping.
Yeah. So
some sightseeing.
Yep. The plan. Well, so the plan is I'm going to go out there about 4 or 5 days early. And to make the best use of her time off.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense for her to waste 3 days driving. So she's going to fly in. I'm going to get out there early and make the most of my time off and get out there after Mother's Day. I'm probably going to leave after Mother's Day and get out there 2-3 days. And then I'm going to bounce around and do some turkey hunting.
See, that makes me happy because you were so fucking down on turkey hunting when we were there before. We didn't even bring our turkey hunting shit, but
yeah,
I think it would have been a lot of fun to spend, you know.
So this is circumstantial.
Honestly, to decompress from our shit experience bear hunting that 16 days, we should take 2 days and say, fuck it, let's go turkey hunting and have some fun.
I don't have that in me, man.
Like, I know, but me and Isaac do.
So you guys should have bailed, and I'll go back to fucking glassing.
If you guys want to have some fun, watch the bear hunting video.
Yeah, you know
Day
what I mean?
1, Jay is like smiling and making jokes and having fun. By the end of the video, he's not saying a word.
No.
He's a mute. He's staring at the ground. And
Angry human.
Yeah, angry kill mode.
But still, yeah.
But I'm happy that you're doing it this year because you realize.
But here's the thing: it's circumstantial. If Beth wasn't coming, I would go as early as I can, bear hunt from day 1 until day 0. You know what I mean? Like, this is circumstantial. It doesn't make sense for me to bear hunt early, kill something, and then she flies in.
What are you guys going to do? Bear hunting.
You could do
now
anything.
we're just going to drive. But, like,
But
she wants to be there for the hunt.
Yeah, I understand that. But you could, okay, so fuck it. Buy her tag.
She's got a lot to do before that. Like, she can't.
But
she's
if
never
you kill
hunted.
a bear early, you could go. There's unlimited things you could do.
Yeah, but, like, not hunting. So, like, I'm going to do the turkey hunt.
You better not pass a bear.
Well, he's going to be in a completely
I won't
different
be
spot.
in a place to bear hunt.
Okay.
For when I'm turkey hunting. So, you know, I'll kill 3-4 days turkey hunting. I'm just making the most of my time. She'll fly in, I'll pick her up, and then we hunt for 6 days, I think, 6 or 7 days. And then she's going to drive back with me. But she wants to be along for the bear hunt
itself.
So if I were to kill a bear before she even gets there, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You find us a bear, we fly out. Literally, Jay, I'm telling you right now, I'll fucking fly out.
All right.
I swear to God.
So while you're turkey hunting, you need to be keeping an eye open for mule deer spots.
Okay.
For next
Yeah,
year.
no,
for sure.
yeah,
Because you're going to be in the area that we
is
mule deer hunt.
Okay, that's always a thing, man.
And
always,
legs on the ground.
Yep.
The biggest thing is access and finding the public spots and all that jazz.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be. I'll start e-scouting for that here shortly.
Yeah, I would love to see how e-scouting for turkey hunting works. What are you looking for?
Access.
Just access.
Yeah.
Access, river bottom type deal. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, so there's actually no turkey footage in this bear film. There is an Isaac's film the year before. Anytime we were low and it was green, a lot of alfalfa, a lot of river bottom, private land.
We did see that mountain turkey.
There's just a mountain turkey.
Yeah, that's in the film.
That is wild.
And
that is wild.
So when we saw that mountain turkey, we thought it was a bear at first.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just because we saw black through the trees.
Yeah.
And that was the first time during the hunt, besides seeing the bear on the trail on the walk in, that was the first time that I was excited because I thought this was the moment.
Yeah. So to
Chills. It's just like seeing a buck in the distance in a field when you're hunting deer. We thought that was it.
To tell everybody the story, because it wasn't really portrayed in the video too well. We were sitting there glassing all day.
I think that was what, a 6,000. We were at like 6,000.
Yeah, something like that. So we're glassing away across the way, the big mountains to our right. So we're glassing up this big mountain, and then to the left, there's some small patches of open trees.
And we were glassing flowers.
Yeah,
I was
600 to 700
switching
yards
flower
away.
patch to flower patch to flower patch.
And I don't remember who saw it initially, but we saw
I think you did.
a black spot come out into this grassy area. It was raining a little bit. We see it in our spotters, and we're like, "Oh shit!" Someone get on the gun, someone get on the spotter. Get
Jay
the
was
cameras.
up first. Well, we haven't talked about that yet either. Jay was
graciously,
the first shooter, right.
These guys said that they would allow me first shot.
I mean, I didn't give one fuck either way. Isaac did a lot of the e-scouting and the work because he's Isaac. You had missed the bear the year before, done the e-scouting, been involved. I was the outsider at that point. I didn't care either way. I filmed. I have no problem doing anything like that. So I was going to be third shooter. So we had you as first shooter, Isaac as second, me as third.
Yeah, so
normally what we do is who glassed it gets the shot.
Yeah. So continuing the story, huge scramble. Jay gets on the gun. Someone gets on the spotter. Someone gets on the camera. Ranging, I don't know, 500 something yards, maybe 600 yards. We're watching. It's kind of right behind a tree, so we can't see it, but we see a black circle
at that
behind
distance,
this tree,
right.
moving around. We're like, it's got to be a bear. And then finally, it sticks its head up. It's a hen turkey.
It's a fucking turkey. It's a goddamn hen turkey.
And we're
Pecking.
Jay's on his gun like, are you fucking kidding me? And we watched it for a considerable amount of time behind this tree.
It is
just
in
this
the
black
there is
blob
Yeah.
moving through
Pine
the
tree.
cover. Yeah.
Ends up being a turkey.
Awesome.
What a buzz kill.
Yeah.
We went
That was so
we went from here to fucking way down here.
Well, the
Real
best part,
quick.
it was the day after we walked in. It was the second day of total glassing. So it was, our walk-in day. We haven't talked about that yet. We walked in our very first spot. We were only an hour into our walk, maybe a mile or two, and we walked up on a color phase 300-ish pound bear.
Come bumbling off the mountain, run
Bumbling
straight
off the
away
mountain,
from us.
right in front of us on the trail. Brown as brown could be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Color phase in Montana. That's a big fucking deal. And it was on the trail running away from us. We watched it run down. We got all excited. We did our interview. Color phase bear. Our situation's working. We got another mile for camp. Everything was so good. And
that was the last bear we
saw until we were in Minnesota.
In Minnesota,
we were in the Twin Cities. We were in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and there was a fucking dead bear on the highway.
Huge.
In the city.
I didn't even know there was bears.
And it was a color phase. It was a color phase too. That bear was
big
also
brown bear too.
Legs up, swollen.
Yeah.
All the way out there.
Yeah.
But this was day 2, and we had saw this blob, so we thought, and then we got rained out that day. Went back to camp. I know that night was the thunderstorm night, the loudest thunder I've ever heard in my life. Me and Jay are in a tent.
By far the closest light.
Yeah.
I've camped through a lot of lightning.
It was louder than fireworks.
That was by far the closest lightning.
It was
strike.
simultaneous light and thunder at the same time.
Yeah.
No gap.
Yep.
Right above our head.
You could feel it in your soul.
Yeah.
In your chest. And we're laying in bed. My tent was probably like 15 feet away from there. They go, "Are you okay?"
How old is your tent?
Oof. Let's see. I got a 2012, probably 10, 11 years.
So we never got wet. Nothing got wet. I
No.
mean, your tent was mint
Yeah,
perfect
bulletproof.
weather-wise.
Yeah.
Mint perfect weather-wise.
Yeah.
That thunder was fucking.
Yeah. Shout out to Kafaru.
Yeah.
Every time Jay's here, he shouts
Every
out
time
Kafar.
I'm here.
Well, you do. I mean, rightly so. You shout out to Kafaro when you had your bear in your pack at the end of the video.
I listen, man.
That's right. You're okay.
I get less than nothing for like shouting them out. I'm just giving quality products their due, and they're a great company. They make really quality stuff. You will pay for it.
Yeah, that's fine.
You will pay.
You have
for
to pay for it in this
world.
world.
But you know what?
And any of this stuff, this quality gear we're taking out there, it's all expensive.
Yep. Yeah. If you turn it over, it's because you chose to do something. It's not because of quality. You know what I mean? It's just because like your bow is just as good 10 years ago as it is today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you turn over your bow, it's because you just want to upgrade.
I still
you just want something.
For the record, I'm still shooting a bow from 10 years ago.
Yeah, same here.
But that tent, I mean, it was raining like fuck. Pouring.
And it's a floorless tent. It's the Kafaru Sawtooth is what it's called. So,
perfect.
But if you know how to set it up, it doesn't take a lot. There is, like, people think it's floorless. Oh, my God, we're going to get soaked.
I actually like the way, it's hard to explain, but you wake up in those open air environments and it's nice.
Yeah.
It was
Just having that airflow is really nice. Like, we've all like done the family camp thing where you've done the totally enclosed thing and you wake up suffocating.
That's our trout camp. That's our trout camp. We're
like in a swamp.
6 motherfuckers in a tent, drunk, snoring.
Gross.
Just everyone's together. Yeah.
So let's talk about the sleeping situation for a little bit, because I have a tip for people that are going to go out and hunt.
Everyone needs their own tent.
Get your own tent.
Get your own tent. Me and Jay shared a tent, and it was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake for me because I slept like a goddamn baby, but Jay was just not having my snoring.
Yeah, it's really, it comes down to snoring for me. That's it. That's the deal breaker.
It's a bunch of grown men sleeping in tight quarters.
I can't.
And you have to sleep.
I can't sleep next to a snore.
And I had to sleep on my back the way you're sleeping. I was using a Nemo.
A sleeping bag.
Nemo tensor, sleeping pad.
Oh yeah.
So the way the pad and the sleeping bag work, it was very hard to sleep on my stomach. I would start on my stomach every night, flip to my back, and start snoring like a motherfucker. And it was, it was fucking Jay's sleep up, and that's not that's to be expected. And we should have split tents early.
Yeah,
and we should space our tents out because you not getting good sleep for 7 days in a row was affecting your mental well-being.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
because me and Isaac were Isaac sleeping by himself, and I was snoring away. We were all right, and you're just sitting there just fucking pissed at the world.
Yeah, and I'll carry the extra weight of my own tent any day just so I can sleep comfortably. Because I get in that tent with my sleeping bag and no distractions, I could sleep like I sleep at home.
I could have put my tent 50 yards away. You would have never heard me. You'd slept fine.
That is the point to be made. Why we make that decision is because of the weight penalty.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Because
my tent weighs 5 pounds by itself.
Yeah, I mean,
your tent weighs 6 pounds for both of you.
I mean, to start on that trail. Honestly, we should have done the separate tents from the beginning. I don't even care if I would have had 20 more pounds on my back. We haven't talked about the physical aspect of this. We all before we went on this trip, we all spent a lot of time in the gym getting our bodies ready. But in order for us all to sleep well, I would not have gave a shit if I had 20 more pounds in my pack.
Yeah.
That backpack to me, Jay, on this entire trip felt like it was 1 pound.
Yeah.
That backpack, even though at one point it was 60, 70 pounds, I didn't give a fuck. It didn't feel like nothing back.
The comfort was worth more.
I would have taken that third tent
and that
the
is
entire time.
That is the penalty you pay.
Yeah.
Comfort equals weight. It's that simple.
And the weight meant nothing to me. Like the backpack always felt light. And our hikes weren't extreme, except for the one.
The Elk Mountain was.
I'm convinced anytime that backpack gets over 40 pounds, it pretty much feels the same up until it gets like 60 or 70.
So if we do this,
it's heavy. It's going to suck.
Yeah.
So anywhere in that range is pretty good.
I mean, if we go back and do this next year, or even if we join you this year or 2 years from now, we already know that we're sleeping individually. Everyone is going to sleep individually, regardless of the tent size. We're sleeping individually and spacing ourselves out because the good night's sleep would have made everything more enjoyable.
Oh, it's so important.
It is very important.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah. Sleep is. There's a reason people bring melatonin and people bring NyQuil and stuff like that. Like
and Benadryl.
Yeah.
So I was
I
was taking Benadryl the whole trip because of the allergies at that time of year. So I'd pop 2 Benadryls a night, and I would not wake up until the morning.
I had no problem sleeping, but I also was keeping Jay awake. Like the way the sleeping situation was happening, I didn't need any of the drugs, but I was just falling asleep and having a great time. By the way, we're watching Muley Freak on the TV. Just a side note, I like what they're doing for their food and stuff. They brought a climbing stick to get it up in the tree away from everyone.
Because
that was a problem.
It is a lot harder pulling that food up than you would think.
We were using a pull system for our food, and we were putting it on some trees that were fucked,
and they kept breaking, and it was a pain in the ass.
And it's only a problem in grizzly country, potentially, but.
Yeah,
we made it, part of our operation every day was making sure our food and our stuff was up. And
it is a pain in the ass, but you got to do it. And I don't think that's what they were doing.
No, but they were earlier. So earlier they were taking one climbing stick just to get their shit up, and then not have to worry about. There was one. I remember when we went to the burn. Every branch we had was breaking.
Yeah,
you remember we're throwing our food over a branch, trying to pull it up, break.
Do you remember how much of a pain in the ass it was when we were out cutting to try to hang that food?
Yeah.
Because we were told by a local, and we knew where we were, was hard grizzly country. And we're in these, there's not very big trees, and there's not a lot of trees with a lot of branches. And we're trying to hang this food. And it was just a struggle for an hour.
Yeah.
Well, that's...
At some point, you do what you can do, you know what I mean? Like,
if you have to roll it down the hill a little ways.
Yeah, whatever.
They get the food. It's better
Side note, grizzly country. We stayed a little bit in grizzly country. We didn't really... Our year, we didn't find much. The year you guys went, you found some grizzly sign in one spot?
We went to
one
a
spot,
yeah.
definitively grizzlies were there. We saw the prints, we saw the scat. Like
we talked to people that saw more grizzlies than black bears.
Yeah, one of the guys. No, actually, we just... that's not a deterrent for me. Like it is. It gives me this thing. Like it gives me the ick, I guess.
Because there's still the 1% chance that it's going to do what it wants to do and fuck your day up.
Yeah, but what did that spot? We ended up. The maps were a little off. We were trying to make our way to a burn, and the map showed the burn coming really much further east than it really did.
And it never did.
So it was like heavy cover. And we're like, there's no burn here. Like we're just not. And like we reached the point of diminishing return. So we bailed.
When you went out with your girlfriend last fall, did you see any grizzlies?
In Glacier, yes, we did see a grizzly. I filmed one. Huge.
I never seen it.
It looked like that couch with a head. That's how big it was.
So I've never seen any of your guys' video from that trip. Do you have any cool video?
Not really. I just took a little bit with my phone scope and stuff.
Because the grizzly me and Lindsay saw was little.
No, this thing was as big as that couch.
No, mine was as big as that table.
Joke.
Mine was as big as that table, but it was 5 feet from my car.
Yeah, this thing was enormous. And then we saw a little black bear too that was, the size of the dog.
All right, digress. Back to the bear hunt. Back to the not being able to sleep and in your tent thing. That's just a tip going forward. We tried it out and figured it out that
the comfort is such a huge deal, and it doesn't take a lot to be comfortable. Like in my little tent, it's a fully enclosed tent. I think it's made by Nemo. I get my tent with my sleeping pad and my sleeping bag, and it's like a little cocoon, and I could go sleep in that thing every night.
You broke that tent during deer season.
Yeah, I got it fixed.
That would be my suggestion to the people watching or listening or whatever. When it comes to things like this, it is undeniably personal preference. Mm-hmm. It's one of those huge
you're a quilt guy. For example,
I'm a quilt guy.
Like, me and Isaac were
sleeping bag.
Yeah, I'm a quilt guy because of what you said. Your situation makes you sleep on your back. I cannot sleep on my back.
I don't want to, but I end up
side and stomach sleeper.
Yeah, I'm a stomach sleeper too, but the sleeping bag makes it so like eventually you just end up.
So you might be a quilt guy too. You just don't know it.
Yeah. And I had a decision to make. Am I buying a quilt now today?
100%.
Or am I buying this sleeping bag that's on sale for 40% off? And Isaac's texting me, and so it's like, fuck, I'm buying it.
Yeah, 100%.
And we did. And that's what I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I was never cold, so there's that.
Yeah. It is a trial and error. Find out what you like. Borrow your friend's shit.
Yeah.
So we can go on to that for a little bit. I wanted to talk a little bit. So once these trips start going, we're, a 2-day drive from home. We've been gone for 10 days.
By 2 days, we mean 30, 35 hours.
Yeah, 35 hours. So 2 full days in the truck. These trips really start coming down to a mental game. Mm-hmm. It's more mental than physical, and anything that you can do to add to how comfortable you are is going to add days onto your effective hunting. Mm-hmm. You may stay out there for 15 days, but how comfortable you are is going to be how effective you hunt.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Because you start losing comfort, you're like, there's a town an hour away. Mm-hmm. I'm going to drive to town, get a hotel room, get a Big Mac, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
So if you can make yourself more comfortable out when you're hunting, it's going to make you hunt more.
I never felt physically drained once.
No, not really.
You know what I mean? Like the physical side of it, I was very worried about that. And you told me about that going into it. Like, dude, are you working out? Dude, are you, there was a lot of worry on my end about whether I was going to be physically ready for the trip. And for me personally, it was all mental. It ended up being only mental. Only mental. And that's...
Let's talk about the mental difficulties on this trip. And those were the long hours.
I mean, that was the closest in my life I ever wanted to be to killing myself. Like, I almost became a missing 411 David Polalis, fucking kill myself on a mountain.
So we were relentless, and Jay was very relentless. We were sticking with the plan. The plan from the year prior, which worked awesome for us.
And
it worked perfect.
I think that's what fucking hurt us in the end. Your guys' plan that was flawless the first year. It's like the first year that Chip Kelly ran his offense out in the NFL, and they went to the fucking Super Bowl because no one knew what to do. Year 2 came, and they won 3 games, and we won 1 game on this bear hunt because it just didn't work.
So our plan was
situation.
It was flawless the year before, so we were sticking with it, and this was part of the mental tough thing. We were going to stick with the plan, and unfortunately, it just didn't work. And as the trip was going along, and it was not working. It was draining on us.
It hurt because we saw a bear in the first hour, and we spent another 100 hours glassing.
I think that's what we figured out. We were behind the glass for 100 hours on the trip.
Without a bear.
Yeah.
Without spotting what we wanted. 100 hours without a bear. And I know Jay, and I will allow him to rebuttal this. He's allowed to rebuttal this when it's over. At the end of the day, come September, when Jay went back to Montana, he killed a bear doing the things that we kind of wanted to do in the spring. And it's not a direct correlation at all. But Jay was on the ground with his bow, and he killed a fucking bear like a goddamn man.
Like a goddamn man.
He killed a bear. But he would never have done that in the spring. And we came up empty-handed just like we did. If we would have maybe, after 3 days of, holy shit, we just spent 32 hours staring at a mountain and not seeing a thing. If we would have dove down in some shit and started walking, glassing, maybe calling. I'm not a big caller like you are, but maybe doing some of this. Maybe we would have had a little bit more success.
Maybe.
It doesn't matter in the end because it was the way it was.
Yeah, there's no guarantee.
But you killed a bear walking.
Yeah.
You killed a bear walking, and we kind of wanted to walk.
So my rebuttal would be I think it's apples and oranges comparison because you're comparing fall to spring.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
And the foliage you're in the spring versus the foliage you're in the fall are vastly different. Also, you're hunting with a rifle versus a bow. I can make the argument a close shot with a bow is much easier than with a rifle.
Well, especially
I'll be with you all day. I think I think rifle hunting and rifle hunting with a camera is very difficult. Mm-hmm. People would think it's easier, but it ain't.
I don't know, man.
I'm very grateful you killed your bear, by the way. We'll get to that later in the podcast.
Yeah,
we'll talk about his bear. But
as far as sticking to the plan, I don't disagree that at some point maybe we should have it's the definition of insanity, right?
Yeah.
Like you
just
continue
kept
doing
doing
the same shit,
thing,
expecting
same
a different
And
result.
you hold a certain point of esteem with us. You are older than us. You're more experienced than us. You've done it more than us. There's all these things. We've looked up to you since we were kids. I mean, your Uncle Jay. Honestly, we met you when we were fucking nobody kids. So we are going to go along with your decision at the end of the day, just like you outrank us, honestly, in all aspects of life. So we did it. But looking back, it's like, man, maybe if we just would have spent 1 or 2 days bombing.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And like there was a point where I think we talked about this shortly after. I'm like, there was an opportunity. We don't need to name the place, but like we could have done some legitimate calling.
Yeah, some calling sequences.
Yeah, where I'm like, that was kind of hindsight. And it was shortly after we left that spot. I'm like,
maybe we should have done that.
We should have hung out there for a minute and done some calling.
And I agree with you that we don't want to kill our bears by doing that. There's a way of killing bears that we wanted to accomplish, and sitting there and calling them in might not have been that way, but it would have made the story something.
I'll also say, I guess in my defense, it's what we did the previous year that was so unbelievably successful.
Unbelievably.
In my mind,
it's amazing.
If we just grinded it out.
Yeah. That was going to work.
That would have
going to come to fruition.
Yes.
And that did actually work for us to keep doing it, because even though we were on day 8 and 9 and 10 of, 10, 12 hours of glassing, we were thinking at any second
the bear could walk out.
Yes.
That bear walks out, we kill that bear, and holy fucking shit are we partying. But the fact that it didn't happen makes us have this conversation. Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything now.
In the end,
we can say
hindsight's
now.
always 20.
Yeah, for sure.
And not to mention, at the time, how mentally drained or really physically drained did we want to chug through those bottoms calling? How long would that have lasted?
It all depends on, it probably depends on the first day of what
there was a couple times we did set up and do some calling sequences. They just never really made the film.
Not in that spot.
And we think on the last day on the way back, we thought maybe we called something that winded us.
Yes.
That is
so there was
very possible.
Well, if I remember correctly, yes, I'm agreeing with what you're saying, but do you remember when we walked in the second time, the second time, that there was something
close to
it could have been a moose or an elk, but there was something that was very close to the trail making some ruckus, and we spent a couple seconds waiting and looking, and we never ended up seeing what it was, but it was in the vicinity of where we saw Big Brown.
So and also
I just remember Big Brown's ass jiggling when it was running away.
So another problem with that style of hunting is calling a bear in quick, shooting it and not realizing it has cubs. So these bears, you do have to study a little bit to make sure they don't have cubs and make sure they're not a female.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And also the size. To size a bear, it's really hard to tell how big they are unless you look at them for a little while.
your first year video, the Backcountry Bears, proves that. Like you guys, you saw your bear, you glassed it, you watched it, you filmed it.
I shot it.
You went down and recovered it, and when you finally,
it was a dog.
Hours later, got to it, you're like,
it's a dog. I was immediately grabbing the bear. I thought this wasn't even the bear that I shot.
It is the biggest shocker of my, like when you talk in terms of, what you see visually, and then when you put your hands on something, the biggest shocker, and like, I was blown away the difference of what we thought it was to what it was.
It's like the Blair Witch Project. It's like you saw something, but that's not actually what happened.
It was so bizarre, and that seems to be a universal thing, because
they say bears shrink. They say bears deflate. But this bear deflated and then got smaller. And then smaller.
I threw that little video onto a very popular Western hunting website and said,
how big you
guys think this is?
And we had people putting 6 foot bear, 250 pounds, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
It was 4.5 foot and it was 100 pounds.
Yeah, it was.
When it was soaking wet.
The thing is,
you know what? It just goes back to that whole like machismo, the size, all that shit. We went out there year one, morning one, day one, and Isaac sealed the deal. That thing Shit. Who gives a shit?
The only people who gave a fuck about that were the people that are going to make fun of you in the firehouse, and like one guy on YouTube who said, "Have you seen all these fucking bears? Why are you shooting the little one?" There's one guy on YouTube who did that.
That's why you don't. That's why you don't read comments.
I got a bear in the house. The mount looks good. It does look a little bit small, but the taxidermist did an awesome job with it. It looks really good.
Yeah. Yep.
Pause. Oh, he's taking a pee break.
All right. Cool.
Go. All right, we're back.
We're back.
We're struggling over here. Hey,
I'm getting a stink eye from your dog right now. Like, what the fuck
judging
are
you.
you guys
we've been drinking.
So Jay's got. Let's talk about Kaya for just 1 second. Let's break it up and talk about Kaya.
Sure.
Jay has the best trained dog. I've known Jay for 20 years. I've known Kaya for 5, and she's never barked.
Nope.
I know she's older than that, but she's never barked.
No,
she doesn't. She's afraid to jump up on our couch here in the shop.
Yeah, she's awesome, man.
But
it all starts, training them when they're young. And she was a shed dog, and I trained her to be a shed dog, and she did really well.
Can we take her out?
Not anymore, man. She it all kind of fell
perishable
apart.
skill, right?
Yeah,
basically.
it is a perishable skill, just like anything. When I built my house, I had to move into an apartment, and my folks had her for about a year and a half. So she obviously wasn't getting trained.
Yeah,
and that's when things kind of fell apart. But she still has the obedience and the manners.
Very well trained compared to my dog. My dog right now would be losing his shit, her shit. But Kaya, it's funny, like you guys can't see in the camera, but she's now sleeping. But before, when we took our pee break that took 6 minutes and we're sitting here bullshitting, she's just looking at us like, what the fuck?
Yeah, she walks out in the driveway in the yard out there,
and
we're on a road that people drive 100 miles an hour down. Most people don't just let their dogs out because they're worried about them.
Yeah, she's good.
But when we left off, we were pretty much winding down from
the attrition.
Our spring trip.
Yeah, it was
because
rough.
that trip. And if you watch the film, you will see a massive drop off in content because the trip was grinding. We weren't having success. We can only film ourselves walking around and glassing for so long.
Yeah,
and that's the one thing with the film. It doesn't show the long hours of glassing.
Oh.
Because how do you show that on film? You can't just show us.
I would do time lapses. I would do this. We would progress. We would jump 2 days at a time. But
and we
for
also,
us 2 days is 48 hours of being there.
Yeah, and we also learned a lot about filming while we were on that trip. What we should film, what we shouldn't film. We need more time lapses. We need to tell the story a little bit better. But anyways, winding down from that.
Yeah, I mean it came to a point where we the last 4 or 5 days, we knew that we probably weren't going to be successful. And at that time, you start to reel in and you're trying to maximize your efforts. We ended up going back to our very first spot, the moose paddle. Show the moose paddle.
This is the moose paddle.
Moose paddle. Isaac found a moose paddle on our first spot. We brushed by that and didn't talk about it. But Isaac found a moose paddle on the first spot, and that's where we saw a bear on the walk in. And we decided to go back to that for the end.
I've never gone on a Western trip without finding a shed.
So we went back to the moose paddle spot. Glassed all day, saw nothing, had a camp. We did a day of calling. We called on the mountain. We called on the walk back. Maybe this, maybe that. Maybe we had a bear come in the area one time because we heard something come in, but we never got any visual or recording. We ended up getting back to the truck, getting back to the city, ended up driving home the whole 9 yards. It was a little bit of a rough ending to our huge trip that we had planned, to not film a bear while glassing, to not kill a bear, to only see a bear while walking in. We ended up seeing a bear on the drive home in Minneapolis, St. Paul, dead on the side of the road, legs up.
Huge, man.
Huge. So the whole summer and fall and spring went by, and we moved on with stuff. But then that fall, Isaac and Jay both went back to Montana for elk and mule deer, and their tags were still valid. So, fast forwarding for our archery season, the tags were still valid. And I'll let Jay take over from this point because he got there first, and this whole next encounter and part of the ending of the video is Jay's story.
Yeah, so I ended up going to one of my go-to elk spots that I was given to by a dear friend, and it has kind of gone downhill over the years because some
Pressure, basically.
Yeah, pressure is
only
a
pressure.
real
That's probably the
real polite word to call these people.
Hunt quietly. Hunt quietly.
Oh my God, these dudes from California. It's been the same dudes every time. Just absolute pieces of shit. Sorry.
They're on the same tag rotation. So
they're on the same
Jay
tag
goes to
rotation.
Montana,
So like the last
they're
time
gonna
I
be
saw him was exactly 3 years ago.
Mhm.
You know, and it's the same dude, same 5'5" Napoleon tough guy. So
What a terrible fucking movie. We watched that the other day.
But-
Like, holy shit.
yeah. So anyways, I got there opening day and elk sign everywhere. Was super confident. There ended up being another dude who came in to my camp, and he was by himself. And he came in, he was super apologetic, and he said, look, I didn't expect anybody else to be here. And I think I may have talked about this in a previous podcast, but this trailhead.
Yeah, we talked about your kill a little bit.
It's not, well, the trailhead itself is not really a trailhead. It's a trail that just kind of peters out into nothing. It's not like a big turnaround where multiple trucks parked. And he came in and he said, man, I came all the way back here and I'm supposed to meet my dad here in 3 days. Normally, if that wasn't happening, I'd bail. But I'm here. And I'm like, okay, let's make the best of it. So we kind of talked about some things and like tried to respect each other, and went hunting that next day. I was out there sun up. It was starting to get sundown, making my way back to camp, and no elk to be found. And I came across a black bear just flipping rocks. It was so wild. And I'm like, I think I can actually shoot this thing. So
Well, you had no arrow nocks when you were walking.
no. In fact, my bow wasn't even in my hand. It was stowed in my bag. So walked behind some brush. I ranged where I thought, now that I know it was a she would walk out this down log range. It was like 36 yards. Flung my pack off, grabbed my bow, knocked an arrow. And she was really taking her time, had no idea it was there, came out broadside, made a shot, and she spun around twice, growled a little bit, took off. And it was downhill from where she was going. And lost sight of her pretty quick, but I thought it was
game over.
Oh,
You thought it
I
was
thought
Smoke City.
50 yards.
You saw
50
arrow,
yards
you
south.
saw the arrow go perfectly in.
Couldn't have been happier. I could not have been happier. Well, I waited, texted you guys, went and got my arrow.
At this time, we were mule deer hunting 8 hours away, something like that. Me and Dylan.
So
the arrow looked good too. I saw it on the video.
Yeah,
Great.
The arrow.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I mean, it was awesome.
It was great. It was a great feeling. I thought it was a slam dunk. And I went that 50 yards and very, very minimal blood. But that's not unusual, I don't think, for turkeys, for bears, anything with plumage or fur, like, you know.
Yeah.
So I ended up going 260 yards, 50 yards, I think, before I really had to get out of there because it was going to get dark.
Just finding drops?
Finding drops. Yep, just drops. Hung
What did that feel like? Like what your blood trailing your first bear and just finding drops? Was it like honest between all of us? Were you like, fuck yeah, any second? Or were you like, oh, fuck?
No. I've trailed enough animals in my life to know that is never good. It's never good. Like,
so Jay's, perfect time to pause and add some length to our fucking podcast. Jay's the kind of guy that if I shoot a buck or a doe or anything with a bow and it runs off, Jay's the kind of guy that says, wait till tomorrow. Jay's always been very adamant about wait till tomorrow. What doesn't matter? Don't push the deer. And he's not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong by any stretch of the imagination on giving the benefit of the doubt to letting the animal die, finding it tomorrow. So I know this had to be like weighing on your soul.
Yeah, it was rough because it's I didn't have a choice because I'm not going to just run through the mountain at night. It's not your daddy's farm.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's the fucking mountains.
Yep.
So I have fluorescent orange tape. I hung it on a tree branch, marked it with the GPS, made my way back to camp. And I'm in camp. And
Which peak refuel did you eat that night?
That's a good question.
No, I mean you're at camp and you just had this happen. What did you do?
I didn't eat. I don't think I ate.
You didn't eat? You're that fucked up?
Yeah, I was really bummed out. I probably had a fruit roll up or something.
Damn.
Pouch of Gushers.
Yeah,
That's the best.
So the dude at the camp next to me came walking in, and I'm like, "Hey man, how was your hunt?" He goes, "Weird. It was weird." He goes, "I didn't see any elk, but he goes, you didn't happen to shoot a black bear, did you?" And he was just saying it out of like jest, like he was just,
Like as a joke.
yeah, as a joke. And I'm like,
you already at this point in time,
you
you
kinda
hated this motherfucker.
yeah, I hate's
Don't
a
be
strong
fucking.
word.
Don't be fake.
Hate's a strong word.
At this moment,
Hate's a strong word. I was aggravated.
When
I
you're
was
out
really
there and
aggravated.
somebody else ruins your plans with
I was
their
aggravated
plans,
as shit.
you have no right to hate them. But
I mean, this is
hate
our
that.
platform. We can speak
Yeah,
freely.
I know, but I was really, really aggravated. I was really aggravated
so
because a lot of it has to do with the delivery on how you do it.
Of course.
The dudes from California, I fucking hate. Like those.
I
dudes,
only know one guy from California.
Their delivery was middle finger in the air. Fuck you. I own this. You can work around us. Not we're going to work together. Not I respect that you've been here before us. None of that. It was.
But it's public land.
Understood. There's still etiquette. There's still etiquette.
I'm just being devil's advocate.
There's still etiquette.
And he helped you.
So this guy, this is not from California guy. He's from Montana. I go, as a matter of fact, I did. And he starts laughing. He goes, "You got to be shitting me." I'm like, "Dude, I did. I shot one with my bow. I have a leftover spring tag." And he goes, "That's awesome." And he got excited for me. And I go, "Listen, here's the $1 million question. Is there any chance you could take me back to where you found it?" He goes, 100%. And I'm like, he goes, "Yeah, on his GPS, he always marks where he leaves a running trail.
the whole time he's hunting.
So he goes, I'll just follow this back to where we'll go." And, the next morning, slept in, and he took me right back to where it was.
You got to tell the full story.
All right,
you were
all right, full story.
This is our
so
podcast.
he's texting us.
So full story
Yeah.
full story is he ended up getting trashed
that night.
that night, and I knew there was a storm coming the next day, and I'm like chomping at the bit to get
Wake up,
like
motherfucker.
at civil twilight. I'm like, let's go. And he is I can hear him snoring. He camped in the back of his truck, and I can hear him snoring. And I'm like, I'm trying to be polite, but
Is there
also
any chance he's listening to this podcast?
no,
No.
zero.
Zero?
If he is, hey, just a thank you, man. I actually have his number. We exchanged numbers, so I could text him.
I love it. I fucking love it.
It got to like 2 hours after sunrise, and I'm like, oh, dude.
Yeah, because he's in reaching me and Dylan, and so we're waiting. We're like, "You found your bear." We keep texting him. Me and Dylan are way out in the sticks, mule deer hunting, and Jay's like, "This fucker's still sleeping." I'm like, "What do you mean? It's fucking 10 o'clock in the morning."
I know. So finally,
Meanwhile, it's 2 p.m. back here.
Dude,
Jesus Christ, what's going on?
I went over and I knocked on his truck, and he like startled him, and I'm like, "Man, I am so sorry to wake you up." And he's like, oh, I overslept. I'm like, oh, you think?
Were you so sorry to wake him up, or did you want to kill this motherfucker?
No. I was trying to be like, because I understood the situation,
Yeah.
right? Like, this guy's doing me. He's going to blow off
Doing a huge
a
stuff.
whole half a day of hunting, helping me out.
Granted,
so, like,
it's the second day of
being
elk
drunk
season.
in his
Yeah.
cab.
Second day of elk season, and he's passed out.
yeah, well, right. So, casual guy, So he goes, "Man, I'm so sorry," and it takes another 30 minutes to get ready, and so we beat feet and start heading out, and the bear I ended up finding it a total of 360 yards from where I shot it, but over 100 yards from where I stopped looking.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would have ever found that thing without that
by yourself,
guy.
which
Yeah.
is that
I
crazy
mean, that,
thing.
that that's something. That is something to be said.
I mean, you know, kudos to this guy for doing me a solid, and he was as when we walked up on that thing, I showed him, like, he's like, originally when he first saw it, he got creeped out by it because that is grizzly area, and he's like, dude, I genuinely thought like a grizzly killed it, and he's like,
because you don't just walk up on a dead black bear.
No, you don't. And
talk to anyone who's a Bigfoot researcher. You never find dead bears in the woods. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's a rare thing. Yeah, honestly,
it creeped him out, man. And he was like, I didn't know if a grizz was in the area, killed this thing. He's like, but I just got the fuck out of there.
Yeah,
and rightfully so. So it was a relief to him to know that I killed the thing, and that I recovered it, and he was excited, and, you know, high fives. And,
saved our bear film,
exchange.
Bro. I mean, it fucking literally saved our bear film.
Exchange numbers, and you know, proceeded to get fleeced on bear meat. That was you know that story?
Tell it.
No.
So I ended up, you know. Yeah. So I ended up, you know, skinning out the bear, caping it out, boning it out, and packing it out. So logistically, that's a hurdle you have to figure out when you have. I had another
month,
5 weeks to hunt.
Yeah.
And so I found a lot of processors won't do bear meat.
Yeah.
So
they don't like mixing the bear with
it's like pork. There's trichinosis.
Yeah. So, which is weird because that's like, I don't know if trichinosis can be transferred. Maybe it can. I don't know. But I think there's not a lot of money in bear meat. Like, they're small.
There can't be.
Right.
Well, you can't even get deer butchered here. We're
it's
Northeast Ohio.
It's a dying thing.
Right. We're in Northeast Ohio, and you can't get a deer butchered in a processor.
You're best knowing how to do it yourself.
Right.
And I do, and I normally do. But logistically, that's impossible for me at that moment. So I call around. I go back to my buddy Andy's place as kind of my base camp and make some phone calls. And I had like a list of 5 places that were within 50 miles. Mm-hmm. And the third place I called, dude was fantastic, super friendly. First 2 places don't take bears. Third place, he's like, yep, bring them on out. Get it taken care of for you. Great. Shoot out there. Guy's super friendly, cool little setup. I made the mistake of not asking how much it was going to cost.
So you dropped off 4 quarters and some scraps.
4 quarters in the back straps.
So maybe 50 pounds of meat.
Yeah. And it was the quarters had bone in. Back straps obviously didn't. Maybe some neck meat. I don't know. Probably
whatever you could carry off.
A total pack out of probably 60 pounds. That's including the head.
So you were getting all this meat just ground.
Just ground.
So all I got to do is debone it, clean up the gristle, throw it in the grinder, freeze it.
30 minutes of work.
Yeah.
It's 30 minutes of work.
Just so the audience knows.
Yeah, it's 30 minutes
That's all
work.
we're doing.
So if you know how to cut, it's 30 minutes
So
of
the
work.
big hurdle, we had to take it somewhere because you need it frozen for the rest of the trip.
Yep, exactly. So I drop it off. And I said, hey, you know, we were just bullshitting. And I said, I still have a lot of trip left to go. Is it okay if I leave it here? And he goes, I got plenty of freezer space. You leave it here as long as you want. I said, do you charge for that or anything? He said, nope, no charge. Just, you know, just come get it when you're ready. I'm like, great. Give me your info, blah, blah, blah. So I went on to hunt. And then before I moved on to my next place, came back and he does great work. He does great work, and he hands me. We talked for 20 minutes before I got. You know, he hands me my price ticket or whatever, and I look at it and I go. So ultimately, it was like a little over. It was a little over. Like it was like 35 pounds of meat
total. Grind.
35 pounds.
Yeah,
of grind.
Yeah,
it's not a lot.
So no, it's not. You know, it was a 120-pound bear. I think
that's a leg off $1 here.
Yeah. So I hand the ticket back to him and I go, oh, I think he gave me somebody else's. And he looks at it, he goes, oh, no, that's right. $350. $350.
$10 a pound.
$10 a pound
for them to grind it.
To spend 40 minutes of work, 30 minutes of
If
work
that.
to cut it off the bone, throw it in a grinder, and that's that. Nothing added.
He gave you that Ohio price.
Yeah, he did. And
out of counter price.
And
but what were you gonna do? You know what I mean?
I was gonna pay for it. Like, you know,
you say no, and he just throws the meat in the dumpster.
Well, I had other people say you should have told him to go fuck himself and keep the meat. I don't have that in me.
You're a fireman. You can't do that.
I have to, but also, fireman aside, that is my bear.
Yeah.
And I'm going to eat that thing.
Yeah.
You know, and like, now there is probably some dollar amount that I would have said, fuck you, you know, like
if he would have charged you $1,000.
Yeah, I would have been like,
keep it.
Like I'm just going to take it and you're not going to stop me. Like,
fight me.
Yeah. I mean, let's go, old man.
I will break your arm.
Yeah. So, that's probably.
I don't disagree at all.
You know what I mean? Like, it was a bummer, and I got pretty shitty with him, and he said, you know, I asked him. I said, so if you charge this much for a bear, what do you charge for an elk?
Yeah, 250.
And
pounds of meat.
he goes $450, and I go, do you see where I'm going with this? $100 more for something that's 5 times bigger.
What did he say?
He's like, well, it is what it is. I'm like, right, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, he knew.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of that. Yeah, whatever. It's the most expensive meat in Ohio is in my freezer right now.
No. Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a rough one. That was a rough one.
So that brings something up. What'd you do with your bear when you shot yours?
So we took it to a processor near the town that I was at.
Yeah.
Best case scenario.
So we took it to the processor. Old guy comes out. He just takes the meat, throws it in the cooler. We pick it up 2 weeks later. He gives me a bill. So, mind you, my bear was a little bit smaller than Jay's. Not too much smaller.
Yeah.
He gives me the bill. $50. Total $50.
Yeah, he's like,
so we got exactly the same thing done.
Exactly.
Mine was $50. His was $350.
Yeah,
$50. And I even asked the dude, I'm like, are you sure this is mine? Because I thought it'd be 100. You know, 100 seems like a good number. He's like, oh yeah, all we did was grind it. So we'll be going back to that. Meat shop.
I was.
Why didn't you go to his?
Because I was like,
he was far.
3 hours away from there. Although
it would have been worth
hindsight,
right? So
hindsight,
yeah, I don't
that
see
would have
the
made
problem.
way more sense.
Yeah, I don't see the problem.
But unfortunately, where I was going after that was south.
Yeah.
That was north, and I would have had to go 3 hours up, 3 hours back, and then where I was going.
So
back,
that actually brings up a good point. It's something because we're in the meat and potatoes of bullshit right now for our podcast.
Yeah.
Where we can say whatever we want. It's funny when I have one experience hunting Montana, and I was there twice as a tourist with my wife, but once hunting. When you hunt Montana, it's not like we're going here, we're going there, the whole goddamn state is your playground.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we went. I mean, we literally went border to border to border to border to border on our bear hunt. We were fucking all over that state, and that's the beauty of it.
It's awesome.
That's the fucking
big.
beauty of it.
It's awesome.
It's amazing.
So where we mule deer hunt and where we bear hunt is so far away from each other. It's like driving between here and the Outer Banks.
It might as well be.
Yes,
Yes.
literally
awesome.
that different.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's awesome. And I actually loved that about it. It's a state that has so much different shit.
And we're not in one unit. Like when we hunt Utah, we're stuck in one unit, one mountain range. We're there. That's it. When you're in Montana, you can be like, well, I can go anywhere, and it's just 2,000 square mile state.
Yep.
2,000. It's more.
Whatever,
than that.
however big it is. It's huge.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It is. It is. It's a really great place.
I
think they could do better.
Once we get a little bit of life out of the way, Isaac's in the process of houses and this and that, and I'm in the process of my first child's due in like 2 weeks. Once we get all these things in our, I would love to have the yearly SBO fucking bear camp.
Yeah.
5 to 10 guys.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even hunt.
Well,
you can do whatever you want, Jason.
listen,
I would just be there to film.
You start ramping
and
that
hang
shit
out.
up to 5 to 10 guys, I'm fucking out.
You say that
need
now.
to turn this shit into trout camp. I'm out.
You say that now, but you haven't been to our
I'm
trout
out.
camp. You haven't been to our trout camp.
No, but you don't like. This was our thing that I'm bringing you into. You don't.
The state's very big.
Yeah, I guess.
And we didn't do any hurting on the bears.
No, I know, but
so what are you worried about?
I don't know. It's like it becomes a crowd. It becomes a crowd. That's just not my thing.
See, I would love a competition. Us 3 versus 3 other dudes.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I don't know.
I mean, obviously a different place. We don't know where.
I don't view it as an elk hunt, as a mule deer hunt, as a we got to kill 350-inch bull. As the bear hunting is like turkey hunting. It's a bear's a bear, a turkey's a turkey, a trout's a trout. Let's go have fun with our fucking friends.
I think that's where our paths diverge, man.
I would be all about it. I think it was a great group activity.
I don't know.
What if we would have had 10 guys, okay, 10's a stretch. There's no way we're ever getting 10.
5.
There's not going to be 10 guys that can do it.
Right. So 5 guys there the year you guys went the first time and split up and did this and did that. How much success would you would have had?
Here's where I start having a problem. You're not going to find 5 more guys that are going to do the equal amount of work.
I could find 3 to add to us 2. Or us 3. I could find 2. All you have to do is find 2.
Dylan's 1.
Yeah.
Dylan would do the work.
He's not at the casino.
Dylan would do the work. I don't I don't like outside of
So you're misunderstanding because we're already at 3.
Yeah,
so 5
I got you.
So a couple 5 to 7 is only adding 2 or 3 guys.
Right, I got you.
And I'm going to film, not giving a fuck about actual success. So you have all these guys, and there's going to be guys that are just trying to capture it. It's a great group activity, just like turkey hunting.
Yeah.
It's a great group activity.
I don't equate it because maybe because I live out here.
No, you live solo.
Well, I live in the East Coast or the Midwest where it's kind of taken for granted maybe, but like the mountains are so special to me. You
don't always like sharing that with
correct
people.
Right.
And I respect that. And that's what's different about you than Caleb.
Yeah.
Right.
Caleb's
a social butterfly who wants to
exactly.
share all that stuff. And
that's to be fair though, if I'm talking about a 5-group guy and we add Dylan, it's only 1.
Yeah.
Right,
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so we're already in a group of 5 and we're only adding 1.
Yep. But there's also
it might be Matt who's already been out west.
Mm-hmm.
But we're actually adding nobody.
There's also times where us 3 are out there and I want to go by myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I get that a lot because like in Montana this year, there was a couple times where I split off and went and did my own thing for 5 days or whatever because that's what I love doing too. Mm-hmm. I don't like being tied to somebody all the time either.
Right.
So that was part of the trouble with this trip as well. We were all tied together, which made it.
I don't think I would.
It made it interesting.
I would have never wanted to go off on my own, but there was times where I felt like we should have deviated from the plan. That's all.
Yeah.
I never wanted to go out on my own. Not that we couldn't, because out there it's a pretty awesome place to go out if you want to do it on your own. Like your bear kill.
You being your first time out west, like you'd be a fucking retard to like try to do that by yourself.
But someone does it. Fucking Isaac's texting us with his Garmin.
But not my first time.
There's
no,
wolves.
not his first time. He came with me.
I got wolves howling next to my tent, and I'm by myself. And
but after I did it my first time with Jay, then I was really. So I still have the urge every once in a while just to fucking leave.
Yeah.
For 2 weeks.
Yes.
By myself.
Yes.
I'm
not
jealous
even
of your PA trip a couple years ago.
That was fun.
When you went to Pennsylvania by yourself, which is nothing for us here in Ohio, but
2 hours.
You went to Pennsylvania by yourself. That fucking trip.
That was fun.
I mean, we still talk about that trip of nothing. You killed nothing. You saw a lot. But we talk about that trip all the time because you went to Pennsylvania by yourself, camped on your own, saw bucks, saw gobblers,
saw a bunch of
multiple
bears.
You had more encounters with bears on your Pennsylvania trip than we did on this trip.
I was a weekend too late.
Big bears. Big bears. Awesome.
But,
I think that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, and everybody has their own little thing that they like to do.
Yes.
And I love the way we did Montana this year. I wouldn't have done it any other way.
I agree.
We all go alone, and then we meet up for days at a time to hunt together. But then we're all still on our own, so we can go do our own.
There is that, like, that is the divisive is a wrong word.
You say trout camp, by the way, and you've never been, so you should try it.
Well, it's apples and oranges because that
we have more fun on that fucking weekend of nothing. It's a weekend of nothing. We're catching stock trout in Pennsylvania. It's nothing, Jay. It's nothing.
So
we have more fun as a group with our guys.
Yeah, but
it brings you back to what you want to.
He doesn't like mixing that with the mountain.
Right.
Well, that's
exactly.
I can understand that.
Yeah, because trout camp is this for 3 days, and we fish in the middle a little bit. That's about it.
Yeah,
that's what. And you love doing this shit.
But
so
imagine if you were able to do this. It's everyone kill a bear.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do this and kill.
I don't think I would want to either.
Yeah,
but Caleb's different. Caleb's
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah,
and I don't see why that couldn't happen based on what I've seen from you and YouTube.
It definitely could happen.
I mean, your first year, if we had 5 guys out there, if we had 5 guys that were dedicated, not knobs, 5 dedicated guys, your first year. I mean, if we came home with 5 bears, it was possible.
It would be something.
There's no reason why everyone couldn't have had a good time.
I think you're gonna find it. Sometimes these things work themselves out. You're gonna have a difficulty finding that many people to 1, do it, 2, put the work in, 3, put the money up, 4, have the time off.
Yeah.
You all these different things
they
that
all
really
have to come together.
all have to come together, and then once you're out there, not go fuck this.
Yeah.
And then just
you're not
blow the whole thing up. Like you got to understand, like. And I think that's the comparison I'm making to trout camp. Anybody can do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Anybody can.
What we're talking about here is not everybody.
No, not everybody can do this, man. So,
but we'll talk more in the future about future trips and stuff.
There are other equipment, like there's a lot to go into getting out there. I mean, I love this term, that barrier to entry. To just doing a Western trip. The shit that you had to get or borrow or learn, those things are without us. If you're just figuring it out on your own, you're fucked.
All right, I'll give you guys a perfect example, though, to bring it back to reality. If you think we're ever going to do this, or you guys or we are ever going to do this again without Ethan, you're fucking high. Yeah. So we're already at 4. If you think that Ethan is not going to allow us to do a trip like this,
but four also opens up possibilities for 2 groups.
Yes. Yeah, if we go to Spring Bear next spring, if we do Spring Bear next spring with us 3, there's not a chance on earth Ethan's going to allow us to go without us.
So
you know what I'm saying? And then you add Dylan, possibly, because Dylan's one of our guys. We're at 5 already. And those are dedicated dudes. Like, Ethan would rather die than miss.
But then you got to start splitting up. We wouldn't all hunt together.
Correct. No, I would agree with that too. I would also agree. Like, you guys go here. I would agree.
Yep.
But that's 5 guys that we already know.
Yeah. But that's a future discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who knows? Life gets in the way for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a kid coming in 13 days.
Yeah.
Is it like? Yeah. Like scheduled and due?
Well, that's the delivery date. I mean,
delivery.
So it could be an hour from now.
She could be. I have a missed text message from her right now that could say, "I'm fucking having."
I'm on the way.
This says, "I'm having." I'm having contractions.
Hey, dickhead,
right now.
That's the squad call you just missed.
Like, she literally could be saying, "I'm having contractions." What the fuck? And she already. So. All right, this is perfect. If you're listening at this point in the pocket, it's perfect.
Yeah, we're an hour and a half in. We're getting close to wrapping it up. So share your minds.
So I was getting I'm like, should I wear a Deer Camp podcast shirt, a hoodie, or a Bear Grease shirt for the podcast today about the bear trip? And she looks at me and she goes, her belly's sticking out 27 inches. She looks at me. She goes, "It's 2:00." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "It's 2:00." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She says, "It's 2:00." And I'm like, "What the fuck does 2:00 mean?" She's like, "You're going to start drinking with Jay at 2:00. She's like, "You're going to be so fucking fucked up when you come home at 10. Yeah. What if I go into labor right now?
You're going to get home, she's going to be like, "All right, we got to go."
And then I'm going to have to call Mom to drive us to the fucking hospital.
Hell yeah.
She's just like, you're worried about your outfit drinking with Jay at 2 fucking o'clock in the afternoon.
We've been Thursday. Here before.
It's a fucking Thursday.
We've been down this road.
We have been down this road before.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
All right, finishing remarks.
I mean, I feel like we can keep going. Finishing remarks. I want to do it. I want to do it again.
I want to do it again. I'm juiced.
I want to do it again really bad. I can't do it this year because of what we just talked about. My first child's on the way. You are doing it again. I'm going to give you a GoPro. You can film whatever it is that you want to film.
Yeah.
Isaac's not doing it this year, but I think in 2025, 2026, we can revisit 4 or 5 people. Like I said, we're not going to be able to get Ethan not to do it.
My closing thing is, if you're not paying attention and you're an outdoorsman in any capacity, start paying attention to what's going on with the anti-hunting thing. Like it's getting some serious traction.
So we could talk about 2 years from now, but we might not be able to bear hunt in Montana 2 years from now.
It's really scary what's going on. And, just shout out I have no affiliation with these people other than hearing a podcast, really kind of buying into what their mission is. But it's a group called Howl, HOWL. And they are, what I like about them, they have a very unique approach to the pro sportsman view of things. And what they do is they provide a platform it's a one-stop shop. They post all the anti stuff that is gaining traction in one place. And they have a place that you can go to online to have your voice heard instead of you trying to search it out yourself. Is it the Wildlife Council?
They give you the means to fight back.
Yes. Is it because you might have an anti in Ohio wanting to ban crossbows or whatever, which I wouldn't.
Oh darn!
But you know what I mean. Like we want hunting, so
give take.
But you don't know who to contact. Do you contact your state representative or do you contact the ODNR? They do that for you. They break it down, especially like
here's who you need to email.
Yes, so please go do something. Howl's a great start. Doesn't have to be Howl, but like
pay attention to those organizations
because it starts with, in Colorado is very scary. They just appointed 2 vocal anti-hunters to the Wildlife and Parks Commission. It's like
Colorado is the over-the-counter state of them all.
People
are
it
used
scary.
to be able to going to Colorado.
Yeah.
We have a group here in Chatham. You probably haven't even heard anything about this. There's a group here in Chatham that's been going over-the-counter elk hunting in Colorado for 40 years. And it's probably going away.
Yeah.
They're going to lose their ability to do it.
It's just
40 years they've been going.
They've killed 3 elk in 40 years.
I think
they've killed 30 mule deer.
I think. Listen, I'm going to close it out with this. It was a very impactful statement that I heard. You're never going to hear antis arguing amongst themselves.
Yeah.
You hear us arguing amongst ourselves.
We argue amongst ourselves, crossbow, bait, and all that. And I'm guilty.
They're just going like that.
I'm guilty.
We are all guilty.
I'm guilty.
Very guilty.
I'm guilty.
That's pretty much the point of the podcast.
You're never going to find antis going, well, you're against mountain lions, but you're against bears, and I don't like you over. That's never going to happen.
Right.
They are a very unified front. We need to become a unified front, so that's my.
Does that change your opinion on?
It doesn't change my opinion, but I'm not going to – I think there are better ways. I think there are better ways.
So
I don't –
there's
universal. Our last podcast – we didn't even talk about that. Our last podcast was the most watched of all fucking time.
Yeah.
We dogged crossbows for a while. But they might be keeping us afloat.
Yeah, so in the hunting community, we bicker amongst ourselves, but the big fight, the war, is against the anti-hunters and all the politicians and all that jazz. So we can bicker amongst ourselves as much as we want, but we are all fighting the same war.
Yeah, we need to remind ourselves that, like, despite our opinions, we're still all on the same team.
Yeah.
And that is a resounding statement to end this podcast, I think. So this is the Deer Shot Podcast, and we are out.
Thanks, fellas.